Welcome back to the Alex Helton Real Estate Show. Obviously with me, Alex Helton, and today we're going to talk about December 2022, as well as kind of a look back over the entire year of 2022. But first, quick shout out to two new podcast partners. Alex?
Yeah. First one is Rob Smith. Rob is with Mortgage Investors Group. Rob and I have been working together. I've been recommending and referring people to Rob for I don't know how long now. It may be 10 years. It's been a long time, and I have stopped keeping track. What I like about Rob is that his rates are competitive. He knows what he's doing. He's here locally, but his rates are competitive. He's really good at taking the time to explain to our clients what their options are. And honestly, probably the biggest thing that Rob does is that he follows through. He closes. If he says he can close on a certain date, he does. And my experience over the years has been, it is truly mind-boggling to me. I don't understand it. There are so many lenders out there that they'll tell you a date, and then 2 days beforehand, they say they can't close, and there's delays, and it just creates...
You're like, what have you been doing the last 4 weeks?
I don't get it.
Yeah.
Rob doesn't do that, and so I want to work with Rob. So we are happy to have his support on this podcast. He's always just been really good with our clients, and we hear really good feedback from him over the years. So the second one is Adam Darby. Adam owns a State Farm agency. I've also known Adam for years now, and we were talking offline that Sam and I both, at some point in the last couple of years, kind of had him check out our stuff with vehicles and homes and other things. And just with the service and the coverage and the premiums, it just made sense to change. So we were glad for that. We've been recommending Adam for a while, and similarly, people check around and more times than not go with Adam. So if either of those guys can help you with a mortgage refinance, or, right now heading into it's new time of the year, people are kind of reviewing budgets. If you think you want to have Adam check out your coverage, I know that he'd be happy to do that. So if that's something that you are interested in, let us know, call us, and we can get you connected.
And both guys, super, no pressure. So when I was looking at my budget a couple years ago, went to Adam.
Yeah.
Here's what I can do, and then I got to make the decision. It turned out to be cheaper.
Right.
So we both have personal experience with both those guys. Highly recommend them from our experience. So let me say one more thing about Rob. Okay. The praise is just flowing.
Well, I'm reminded of the fact that I think this is important, is that we recommend these guys, and it's not like, hey, there's nobody else you should check with. It's like, check around. And I think that you'll find that they are worth doing business with. And I'm reminded that with Rob is that, in the last couple of years, that we have had the need for a loan, and I checked around, and Rob was the best one to work with. And so I got the rate and the terms that made sense, and then also just the certainty of knowing this is going to be easy process, and it was. So
awesome.
That's why we have them support our podcast. Thank you to Adam and Rob.
Before we talk market stats, etc., any 2023 resolutions, personal goals, etc., for you?
Oh man, new year, new me, baby.
Be brief. You look different. Be brief. We want to get here to the numbers, but what's 2023 top goal or resolution for you?
Man, I was gonna say grow hair on my head, but I didn't.
Start manifesting that miracle, baby.
I didn't have a funny joke to come with that.
I think just saying it would have been a funny joke, but we'll keep moving.
So we talked about this offline. Man, for me, over the last several years, it's just been really keep doing what I know I'm already doing that's helpful. The health is the big thing, and just keep doing those habits with diet and sleep and exercise. There's a couple things learning-wise that I'm interested in. I'd say if there's one health goal that for me and that just kind of keeps me moving towards something and is having several competitions this year, whether it's a 5K or a half marathon or a CrossFit competition or something like that. Just having those on the books for me keeps me moving towards something that I find really helpful. What about you?
I don't know that I have an overarching annual goal, partially because that just feels too daunting to take a big thing like that. Yeah, I could say health, which is the most stereotypical New Year's thing ever, but I have started some purposeful exercise since January 2nd. And really at this point, the goal is be faithful in that for January, and then revisit in February, and figure out what it looks like to be healthy in February.
Just eating an elephant one bite at a time.
That's right, yeah, that's right. So, all right.
That's good.
Here we are, early January. 2022 is behind us. Honestly, a crazy year in a lot of ways when it comes to real estate.
Yeah.
As far as the roller coaster and the journey we took. Tell us where we're at today, and then we'll maybe talk through some of the elements from the entire year.
Okay, so we've got some things here, some stats that, as Sam and I were reviewing offline for 2022, I think are interesting to point out. So as we go through here, we're going to reference these. The first one is median sales price, so I'll come back to that in just a moment. Davidson County closings are down December over last December 42%, and yet the median price is up 11%. Similar numbers, I guess, sort of.
Ballparks.
In Williamson County, closings are down 34%, and median prices up, call it 20%. I just, again, always want to point out Williamson County performs, in this case, almost double. And then when we look at the quarter, and not so much annually, but just interesting to see the difference in how Williamson County and Davidson County homes appreciate. So the median sales price, I want to pause and say in January of 22, so earlier this year, we had reached a median sales price of 400, and then we saw that spike and peak in May to 475. And if we think back about that, it was almost like this anticipation that interest rates can't stay here forever. And also a little bit of like, and the market's going to keep going up. And so there's just a lot of activity first quarter and second quarter. So
those are homes that were contracted in March or April. Which is when we started to see some interest rate like consistently go up. So people are going, I got to get in while I can. A lot of demand, which forced people to pay higher.
So we're at 400 January 2022. We're at 475 by May. And then since then, things have come back down to about 450. Since July, the median price in Davidson-Williamson County really has hovered and stayed relatively kind of status quo.
It's 450, give or take, some fluctuation that's just normal.
In Davidson County. And then Williamson County.
All these numbers are Davidson, but they tell the same story generally that's going on across the market. So.
All right, so Q4 closings are down 40%. Prices are up 13. Closings are down in Williamson County Q4 by 33%, and median price is up 20. So year in review, Davidson County closings are down 20% in the year of 22 over 21, and prices are up 18%. Man, that's wild. Williamson County closings are down 17% in 22 compared to 21, and prices are up 23%. So that is the year in review.
Well, I think it's worth pointing out a lot of this reduction on closings or decrease has come in Q4 And so I think the first half of the year, we were probably, if I remember, tracking at a similar pace. We've lost a lot of territory on the closing comparison in the last quarter. And honestly, we expect that.
I mean, you get several months of this.
Yeah.
Close to 40% reduction in
Q4
transaction.
down 40. So, and we expect that lower closing volume to continue at least for a little while into 2023, correct?
Oh, I think Q1 will be at least this, if not 50.
Yeah.
I think Q2, Q3, Q4 will be much higher. But let's jump into inventory, and then we can talk about why prices aren't just hitting the floor and inventory levels. So inventory in Davidson County, we did this a month ago, and inventory across the board, all of these were going up. Now we're looking at them, and inventory across the board, Davidson, Williamson County, in all price ranges is down. Wow. There's less homes available for the number of buyers that are out there. And the number of buyers out there is lower, probably, roughly half of what it has been. So another interesting stat, Sam and I were talking about offline.
Probably the most interesting stat, in my mind at least.
Could be, and it speaks to whenever somebody has asked, or we may be asking, anybody, over the last, call it year and a half, when are prices going to drop? I'm afraid prices are going to tank. This is why they don't.
And why we don't expect them to going forward.
Yeah. They can dip, but there's no indication that they're going to tank that I can find. So December of 2013, since December 2013, December 22, so we just had last month, the lowest number of new listings come on the market of any other month we've had since December of 2013.
The previous low was December 13. And
how many years ago is that? That's 10 years ago.
I mean, roughly
9 years ago.
Yeah, 9 years. So the stats we have from our MLS, they'll give me back to 2009.
Yeah.
December, lowest we've seen.
Yeah.
Since 2009.
So December 2013 was the previous low over the last 15 years at 814 new homes, new listings, not new homes. New listings came on the market December 2013. December 2022, so last month, we had 672 new listings come on the market. Okay, so inventory is lower. And so what does that mean, and why does that, how that plays out is prices can't crash if there's not homes selling and if there's not an abundance of supply compared to buyers. And so what happens is buyers go, well, if the market is what it is and I'm living in this home, I have less motivation. If I have to sell my home for, let's just say, 30% less than what I think it's worth right now, it's no longer worth it for me to move. I'm just going to stay here. That is the general thought process. So
this number is telling us a lot fewer people are deciding to move.
Yeah.
A lot of those people would also be buyers.
Yep.
And so you kind of have this chicken and egg cycle going of there's not homes for people to buy. There's also fewer buyers because those sellers aren't entering as buyers either.
Yeah.
The interesting thing too is in December of 13, our previous low, Nashville was a completely different city. Demand was completely different. And so if you had kind of an adjusted for overall demand and city growth, the gap is even wider than a specific number or percentage. Because Nashville's a bigger city now than it was 9 years ago as far as demand and everything. So that number is the story.
Yep.
And that number answers the question of why our price is not changing.
It is. Supply and demand, that is the supply.
So unless this number, let's just pretend in January, December's always the lowest month, that's worth pointing out. Fewest homes come in the market every December.
Yeah.
If in January that turned out to be 3,000 homes,
Yeah.
well, prices would probably crash because there's not enough buyers to buy all the homes, and each buyer's choosing from 10 listings and basically choosing the best deal. That's not going to happen.
Even if you have 3,000 homes come on the market, you have to have sellers that decide to accept a price that then builds a pattern where the prices are going lower and lower and lower and lower. Mm-hmm. And so it's worth pointing out that one of the biggest differences between now versus 2008 and 9, where there was a crash and prices would drop 10% year over year for a couple of years, is that then there was the number of vacant homes and the number of foreclosed homes was drastically different. People didn't have the equity in the homes like they do now. If somebody bought a home in the last 12 months, they may not have a lot of equity. But it's different. It was different then than it is now. And so it's just, so to me, the practical questions are, okay, what's the outlook for 2023? Do we expect there to be a lot more inventory and a lot of price reduction? I could see at this point another, I could see prices dropping by maybe 5% over the course of this year. For our clients that are asking, should I sell in the first quarter of 2023? I would say no. I think it's the worst time to sell in the last 2.5 years. A little bit of a caveat, because I just got a text this morning from somebody that said, hey, we're looking to sell. Can you talk to us? And so part of that conversation is Q1 2023, worst time to sell in the last 2.5 years. However, if you need to, the silver lining is whatever you lose in selling, you should be making up in buying. So there is a little bit of it's probably going to come out in the wash. And so generally speaking, is it a good time to sell in Q1 2023? No. And then we have to consult with the individual to say, what are the specifics of your situation? And let's put together a plan that actually makes sense. So if you have any plans for 2023, give me a call.
I agree with you, and lest people think it's all doom and gloom.
You have to. You're paid to agree with
me. Yes, sir. Lest people think it's all doom and gloom. We've got listings that are selling quickly as well, and so there is still demand relative to supply, but it has, if you look at it over the last 2 years, like you're saying, there's not this hype and frantic in the market. Frantic in the market. It's not the right way to say it, but you get what I'm saying. And what may happen is Q2, Q3, maybe we get a little interest rate break. Maybe. Or maybe people get used to 6% and they decide that it's time to stop waiting and start doing something.
And it does warm up, and when things start warming up outside, you get a little antsy and you start wanting to do some things.
Yeah.
I do, anyways. So the last thing to just point out is interest rates. January 2022 were at 3.29. They were at 6.18 on June 13th of last year. They peaked at 7.37 on October 20th. And this week they're at 6.5. That is a rough interest rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage.
And they've been in the, call it 6.25 to 6.75 for probably almost 2 months now. It seems like it's settled there. I don't know what the Fed will announce at their next meeting and how that may impact things, but we've been pretty consistently in the middle sixes for a little while now. Seems like.
So, so all that to say, really, I think the summary for 2022 is, and then going into 23 is, things going into 23 feel much like they did pre-pandemic. The speed, how fast things sell, and that kind of thing feels very similar. And I feel like, as always, it's just on what should I do? How does this impact me? It feels like it's always a case-by-case basis. Right now, there's a unique buying opportunity. Again, if you have to sell, it may come out in the wash. So all those things are worth looking at.
Yeah, I think 2023, the word that comes to mind for the market probably is like stability and steadiness. If you think about interest rates were really low and then they peaked and then they've kind of settled. Prices, I don't know that we'd say they were low, but they were here and then they went crazy and then they've settled a little bit. We've kind of been all over the map, even like doing this podcast, and we're going, prices are up, insane every month for a while. Closings are down. So we've been whiplash all over, it feels like, with what the market's doing. And 2023 seems like it will probably be more consistent, more stable.
Yep, I think you're right.
Which is good for people that want to do a transaction because they kind of know what they're getting. And as they're making the decision and trying to time it, they don't have to worry about, well, is my home going to be worth twice as much next month or half as much next month? And just the fears that people have about rapid change.
Yep, there's a lot to say about the comfort that comes with having a better sense of just steadiness and consistency for a lot of people. So
yeah, one thing that has been helpful for a lot of people that we've worked with who probably aren't even thinking about moving, but they go, all right, here's the numbers of the market. How does that impact my individual situation? Real estate review that we offer. Do you want to briefly describe that? Offer it to anyone who's watching?
Yeah, absolutely. So 2 things I would say: if you have any plans for real estate in 2023, call me. The second thing would be, one of the things that we offer for our clients on an annual basis now is a real estate review. It is really simply meant to be an opportunity for us to catch up with our clients on a relational level and just look at really a handful of items that could be helpful to just simply review. A lot of financial planners will do an annual review. It's not a time to sell anything. It's not a time necessarily to make plans, but simply to look at things like, does it make sense to refinance? Do you have projects going on that you want us to give advice on? Here's how you can get more for your investment. Do you have things that you want to do around the house and you need a recommendation? We work with investors that buy rental properties, whether they're long-term or short-term. Again, it's not a presentation to buy, but in those conversations, it can be is this something that you want to talk about and learn more about, and gives us a sense of how we can be helpful. For some people, the answer is no. I love my 401k, retirement accounts. Other people say, yeah, I have those things and I have interest in doing this, and it just be a helpful conversation. And at the end of the day, if it's you check all the boxes and there is nothing to do, that's fantastic.
Right. Yeah.
We want to be a trusted resource for those people that have trusted us in the past, and so if that's something that interests you, give me a call.
Yep. If Rob or Adam, an introduction to them would be helpful for you, please let us know. We're happy to make that connection. We would appreciate if you subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on wherever you're listening, if you're doing audio.
Pound that subscribe button.
Yeah. Rate, review, subscribe, unsubscribe, do it all over again. Or if you found this helpful and think someone else might, of course, feel free to share it. We appreciate that as well.
Yep.
And we will see you next time.
Happy New Year.